Hello everyone, I'm Elena and this is Applewood Tarot. Today's video is a VR to Astral Lady Tarot and her tag, Don't Show Me Decks, Show Me How You Practice. I'll share the routine or ritual I go through whenever I obtain a new deck, tarot or otherwise. Follow along with your own deck if you like. No special tools are required, it's just you and the cards. I also recommend privacy because this is personal, so set some time aside where you can be on your own. I'll use a deck from earlier in my collection, Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle. One reason for this is I rarely see oracles used on their own, especially in spreads, but it absolutely can be done. I've heard so many people say they use tarot and oracles differently, but I don't fully understand what they mean by that. I use mine in the same ways for the most part. Another reason I've chosen this particular deck is its guidebook features the spread I use as the initial interview. It's called the Interview Your Deck spread. I've never sought out another because this covers most of what I would want to know. If anything comes up later, I can do a separate reading on that, but to my memory, that's never happened. So let's get started. The first step is observation. After removing any packaging, I look over the box. I check out the guidebook cover. We won't peek inside just yet. And I remove the cards. You don't need to note every little thing, but don't rush through this. Take the time to observe instead of just looking at them. Now I do a flip through. Once again, slow down. I've seen so many people make snap judgments on what they see, immediately stating what they do and don't like about a particular deck. Don't do this. Quiet your mind. The deck already exists. It is what it is, so let it speak and just listen. Allow it to introduce itself to you. I know it's a bit silly, but next I introduce it to my other decks. I'll place it without the box among the rest and let them get acquainted. This is assuming you have more than one deck. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. Now, while they're hanging out, I read the guidebook cover to cover. I'll say it again. Do not rush this. Read what the creator has to say about the deck, even if you get something else from it. Even if you feel you know the tarot backwards and forwards, learn what the creator or creators had in mind when they made this particular deck. It's okay to take a break, but don't skip ahead. Read the entire book before moving on. I've had to take a full day's break before because I gave myself a headache through eye strain, so take your time. When I'm done reading the book, I pull the deck back out to introduce myself. I give it a little energetic hello, though you can do it verbally if you like. I tell it my name, that I hope we work well together, etc. I do this while shuffling 3 times. I have gotten jumpers before that were very sweet, positive responses to my greeting. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, it makes me so happy. Finally, we get to the interview. I have interviewed this deck before, but I'll do it again here to walk you through the spread. Shuffle it once more, this time asking the deck to tell you about itself. So 3 shuffles to introduce yourself, then 1 more for the spread. So as an overview, the deck's personality, its strength, its weakness, how it'll help me grow, when I should call on it for guidance, what is the best way to work with it, and what our relationship will be like. So what personality does this deck have? Its personality is flexible. It transforms depending on how you interact with it. Every interaction that is had with this deck causes change, causes a little seed to be planted that may grow into and become something else. So what is the deck's strength? Its strength is in letting go and new beginnings, in fresh starts. It allows for renewal. It can help you release what needs to be released. It allows for those new beginnings to come to be. What is its weakness? It's interesting because this card is also about transition and going from one state of being into the next. All of these cards so far relate to that theme. I'll also point out that the strength and weakness cards very often turn out to be 2 sides of the same thing. So this result is not uncommon. We all know that there are positives and negatives to everything, so these 2 cards often reflect that. In this case, transition may be a weak point because you never settle in one spot. You never fully become one thing or the other, you're always in between. It keeps you from putting down roots. I myself have moved around a lot, so I know how that can be both a good and a bad thing. So how will this deck help me grow? Harmony and balance. As I said, good and bad points exist in all things. So it's important to appreciate every phase of life, every element, the good and the bad. We must respect and honor all facets of ourselves, even if we don't like them very much. I also feel that this applies to decks. As I mentioned, a lot of people make snap judgments about what they do or don't like and cast aside something for what can sometimes be very shallow reasons. This makes me sad. I think this way of keeping a revolving door of decks, or anything else for that matter, isn't that healthy. I always say, if it's a deal breaker, it's a deal breaker, but at the same time, I feel like if you know yourself and know that you are that particular, you should be very careful with what you bring into your life. Sometimes what we need most is something we don't always like. You may be dissatisfied for one reason or another with what you already have, but that doesn't mean it has no value. So when should I call on this deck for guidance? When you need to honor your magic and the powers you work with. I would say with some regularity, whether it's once a week, more or less frequently, set some time aside to honor that which you work with. Take the time to sit, connect, honor your magic, honor its source, honor any beings you work with, honor your deck. Show it respect. Open yourself up to it. Mingle with it. Interact. Allow its magic to flow through you. This is how we truly connect with our decks. By putting in the effort, regardless of how that looks individually. So what is the best way to work with this deck? This can be literal, as in use this deck to work with nature spirits. Or it can mean pay attention, be focused, even on the details. Perhaps think more small scale. Maybe ask it more everyday questions. I don't see this as clashing with the ritual card, because there are absolutely ways that we can show honor and respect towards the everyday, the mundane, or the magical that exists everywhere around us. So pay attention to detail and make sure to enjoy the process. So, what will our relationship be like? I think it's pretty upfront. I haven't used this deck in a while, so our relationship will likely improve and we'll grow closer together. So, to recap, for this particular deck, its personality is transformative, it's flexible. Perhaps it means that its personality is one that stimulates transformation. Its strength is in new beginnings, is in pushing out the old and allowing newness to take place. Its weakness is that it's always in transition. It lacks roots. Perhaps it's more that it lacks roots in my practice. Outside of my moon practice, it has been a while since I've used it. It'll help me grow through balance. I need more than just what I like and what I want. It has a place with me. It has a purpose. I should call on it for guidance when I need to reconnect to that part of my practice, to honor my magic and my work. The best way to work with it is with joy and attention to detail and being grateful for the small things. And our relationship will be healed, which I'm really happy about. For best results, it's time to let something go. What that is, I'm not sure. Perhaps the ideas of what I want for my practice. Ideas that I think are set. Perhaps ideas about limitations on what the deck itself is capable of. It's definitely something that I'll need to contemplate further. I'll try to work with this deck more and see what we can do together. And that's the ritual. I recommend you take notes or otherwise document the cards you drew to look back on later. Other than that, give your cards a thank you. They are now ready to fully join your practice. I hope you enjoyed yourself and that this has given you some ideas on how to start your relationship with your cards on the right foot, with peace and love between you. Also, check out the lovely Anna from Astral Lady Tarot who started this tag, Show Me How You Practice. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.